All right. Good afternoon, RR and Carelle Herrera
Good
of Brainstorm.
afternoon.
Good
Awesome
afternoon.
afternoon.
Yes. And good afternoon to all the people watching on the replay or watching live right now. You can join our discussion by entering your questions or comments. And this is actually quite an interesting topic, and we're talking about Brainstrong. Ano ba tong Brainstrong na to? And I know we're starting to feature a lot of like mental health, mental strength topics here in our awesome planet. So it's very good that we're able to talk to RR and Karel, no? To
Yeah.
talk about Brainstrong. All right. Thank you. And we're here talking to and thank you for talking to. All right. Ano ba tong Brainstrong na to? RR and Karel?
Maybe like to start?
Okay, it's actually a movement because it's a mix of NLP or neuroscience also, no? Kasi parang what we're experiencing right now, parang people feel helpless and people don't know what to do. We're promoting Brain Strong because, the brain is a muscle and you can actually exercise it to be able to cope with the things that are going on around you. So it's really that movement na to motivate and to teach people, give tips on how they can be stronger brain wise to be able to cope.
We're a lot of people kasi don't know that we're a lot stronger than we realize. And most of the time when you say, I'm overwhelmed, there are so many uncertain things. That's a given fact right now with what's happening with the pandemic. But even prior kasi to the pandemic, we've already been doing a lot of efforts when it comes to helping people become more resilient and more agile. We were there in Marawi when, to help the survivors of the war. We were in Tacloban with the survivors of Yolanda. So we are at the front line of a lot of tragedies even. So when it
Mhm.
comes to organizations that go through crisis and tragedies, we help organizations such as that, or even organizations that just go through change, because we're a corporate training company. Train Station is a corporate training company, but the science behind it, the NLP and the neurosciences behind it, has really helped a lot of individuals overcoming difficulties and challenges in life. So right now, nung nangyari yung pandemic, all of a sudden we just realized, we really need to help more people. We need more people to know that we are, as I've said, a lot stronger than we realize. And there are tools we could use to help ourselves. And if we only understand the manual, the brain, like sometimes you
Mhm.
don't know what's happening to a car, right? Like, oh my god, it's smoking, there's a light somewhere, and you don't know what to do with it, so you panic. But if you know a little bit about the car, then oh my gosh, then I need to put water or put gas or put something in it. Or if it's really too difficult for you to handle it, you bring it to the repair shop. Or for us, we tell people, seek professional advice if it's really that necessary. But if there are things you could do on your own, then try to do that, practice that, so you could be stronger.
Okay. Now, during this pandemic, ano ba nangyari? Maybe you can give us some symptoms of how the pandemic affected us, and then any tips to
Mhm.
handle it. Siguro, let's tackle one by one. No?
Siguro, there is this scarf model that neuroscience talks about. And itong scarf model na to, ito yung human needs, the brain needs. And when it is attacked, the threats is apparent in the brain. So, nagpapanik tayo, nasa-stress tayo, we can't sleep. Some of us can't even eat. Some of us get demotivated,
Are not logical.
not logical. We make illogical decisions. I don't know if you've felt this, Anton, but the first few weeks of lockdown, people started buying piles and piles of tissue paper. People
Yes.
are buying, alcohol left and right. Our hallway was packed with so much grocery, you can't even enter the hallway, right? So it's been like that because our emotional brain has hijacked the logical brain. And we know this as, parts of the brain, that there's an emotional part, the limbic brain, the amygdala, which alerts our bodies. Our hands get cold, our heart starts beating fast, our throat gets constricted, you lack appetite, your feet gets, you get very restless. It seems like you want to go somewhere. Your tummy, it starts churning and you can't seem to pinpoint what's happening. So In the scarf model, it talks about your status getting threatened. All of us, our status, financial status got affected by this. Next is the certainty, which is for the scarf. S is status, C is for certainty. We don't have anything certain, like tomorrow, I don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if the next person beside you in an elevator, in a public transport, it has COVID. So you're paranoid. We don't have autonomy. We lost autonomy because of the ECQ, MECQ, GCQ. We don't have control of our actions and our relationships. Like we have lost social interactions for a good how many months. And then of course fairness, we don't know who's gonna have it, and we're like, why is this happening to this person? Is it going to happen to this next person? So the scarf model, when people talk about the brain, it's under attack right now. And what's bad pa is there's ambiguous loss. When we're grieving, we know someone has died, or we've lost a job, or we've lost a relationship. But right now, we can't really pinpoint what is lost. It's really the way of life that we've lost, and we don't know how to grieve about it. Some people just experience it in their body, in their neurology, and they're like, they get acidity. They're like, I don't know, I don't want to get up from bed, or they get so exhausted. I don't know if you've experienced that, Anton, but the exhaustion because of all the Zoom meetings, all the online
Wow.
stuff,
Oo.
right? Like,
Sometimes you get easily irritated rin, di ba?
definitely.
About small stuff, gano'n.
And get
Actually,
rattled
So,
yun yung
easily.
interesting doon, because a lot of people think they're doing okay. They don't know na parang, oops, may effect na pala sa akin yun, na parang all of a sudden, why am I so irritable na mas grabe akong irritable
Oo,
ngayon? That's probably the anxiety already creeping in, di ba?
Yeah.
So, that's it.
So paano? So how do we handle it? I mean, based on your Brainstrong model, so how do you handle this? Ano rin, parang grieving model rin ma, you have to accept it, grieve over it, or what's your model in Brainstrong? Maybe we can all learn from you guys on how to do it.
Absolutely. When it comes to NLP, we understand that the brain is programmed by language. We respond to certain things because of the narratives in our head. What is happening in your head? The story affects how you feel. So if the story in your head is, oh my God, I'm so uncertain. And sometimes these stories are unconscious. We don't realize that that's the story going on in our heads. So it sometimes spirals down. So from there, we ask people to just understand the narrative first and foremost. Experience or be exposed, be aware to a bigger narrative. For example, what am I learning from this? What is this teaching me? What did I get better at in the past few months that I could never have gotten good at without this? So a lot of people miss out on the narrative, on a better narrative, because of what they're going through. But then again, the narrative, you miss out this narrative on this beautiful story you have probably in front of you. Like we have our two kids. We probably miss the cuteness and all of that because the stress kami sa mom, and all the attention they're trying to get from us while we're working from home. So the Brainstrong initiative is really like telling people to take a step back. Take a step back and just breathe for a little bit and pay attention to the narratives that you're seeing around you, to the narrative that you could change in your head. So from there, from changing the narrative, then we help people come up with frameworks. Like, what could I do with this? Could I connect with people? Because connection helps the brain release positive hormones, the good hormones. It lowers down the stress and the cortisol, because if you understand the brain, again, going back to the manual, the limbic brain is like at the center of the brain. So its location, it's there. The blood and the oxygen, they're there, and it's activating that part. Now, when you start talking about it, labeling things, it moves from that limbic part to the temporal lobes, to the parts of the brain that is in charge of language. So you actually see in an fMRI machine how the activity moves from the emotional to the temporal, to the logical part of the brain, which is more analytical. So just putting it in words helps. Now, if you put it also in better words, all the more it helps you. All the more that it affects your labeling and how you see things, because you moved your panic button, you move the stress, di ba? Parang naka-press on the panic button, and you just release it and just put it somewhere else in your brain. So we have the framework of connecting with people, having fun, as simple as in between my Zoom meetings, my husband and I, when we have back to back to back meetings, we put a break in between, which is to have fun with our kids. We play hide and seek for like 2 minutes. We dance with our kids for like 2 minutes. Whatever it is that we could do, I hug. I have a hug attack with my kids. And after that, I go back to work because the brain needs that breather. And even the sessions we do for our clients, for the public or communities, it has become a little bit of a breather instead of, another seminar na naman or another talk. It becomes a breather because we let people have fun. And then we help people pay attention to the right things. Like, what are the things I can be grateful for?
Ano kasi, again, this is unprecedented. Nobody has experienced this. And sinabi ng teacher namin, the one who developed NLP, no? And the same teacher of Tony Robbins as well, sabi niya that the problem is not the problem, it's the state you are in when you enter the problem. So again, COVID, kaya naman yan eh. Pero what gives us the problem is really how we deal with it. Yung nagpapanik tayo. Kasi pag nagpapanik tayo, or as Carelle said, no, when we are emotional, the logical part of the brain is not activated kasi nandun siya sa emotional part. So, hindi tayo makaisip ng mga solusyon, hindi tayo nakaisip ng mga better ways to cope. No? But again, the ways to cope, it's there. And we are able to think about it if we only have a better state. So again, yung sinabi ni Carelle, no, na we should breathe better, we should take a step back. That will bring us to a better state, therefore giving us more options in the situation we are in.
Okay, question.
Yes.
Question. Can you do this on your own ba? Parang thinking about a better narrative, or do you have to have somebody, na kausap just to reframe the entire narrative?
Ano yan, Anton, parang, again, like we said, no, it's like a muscle. At first, it might be very difficult. It's possible. It depends on how strong your brain is. But again, during the first few times, maybe it's better if you have someone to do it with you, para at least madadala niya, nakakalibrate ka niya, nakikita ka niya, are you still in that state? Or are you still panicking? Are you still anxious? Dalhin kita dito sa mas calmer na state. Then eventually, because of that practice, because of that exercise, eventually it's going to be easier for you to move in and out of that state na as you please. Kung kailangan ko, pwede ako pumunta dun sa state na yun so that I can be more resourceful.
Just like the first time that my car overheated, I didn't know what to do with it. And then I took it to the gas station, and that guy, the gas boy, lifted my hood, opened the radiator, that thing, placed water in it. And I'm like, oh, that's the only thing you need to do with it. So he gives you a better resource of what to do when your car is overheating. So now the next time I could do it also on my own. Although, like, for example, when I say connect, have fun, those are things that you could do on your own. Paying attention to certain things like gratitude, those are the things that you could do on your own. Other people go into meditation or mindfulness. Those are things you could do as well, just by downloading an app and listening to things on the app, or doing something physical, jogging. Those are things that you could do to take care of yourself. Another thing that is very important that we've lost is sleep, which is very much something you could do by yourself. A lot of people do not sleep well because they think they have all the time in the world. So they watch all the Korean novellas and they realize that they're not really sleeping well. And then the next day, why am I so stressed and why am I so tired? People don't also go through the 90-minute REM cycle when they sleep. So they're more tired with their bodies. Because people think, so long as I sleep, 8 hours, but it's not really 8 hours. It's 7.5 hours.
Or 9.
Or 9 hours if you'd want to sleep longer, because you want to be able to go through the REM cycle. It's really taking care of your brain and understanding what is needed. So if, for example, I like what RR said a while ago, when I know that connection is not enough, because, oh my God, even if I connect with someone, I'm still having anxiety. Even if I'm having fun, my mind still doesn't, refocus. Or when I'm meditating, I still can't still my monkeys and I'm just, really agitated. Even if I do all of these things, it's not helping. Then I tell people, seek help. There are so many people that you could go to who could help you out. We also coach individuals on these things. So there are people that you could go to, because sometimes you're too close to the tree. You can't see the entire forest. You need help of somebody, even just a friend sometimes, who's equipped on how to do things, or who could be more rational in helping you out. RR was talking about the two. I'm so sorry, but yeah.
No, my question is more of that's good, no? If you realize you need intervention. What if you, a person does not understand that she needed intervention or akala niya normal lang? How would you do an intervention, or is it recommended to do an intervention, or pag-usapan lang? How do you go about it?
Pag pinag-usapan, Anton, it really makes a person feel better already, chemically speaking, technically speaking. And if you know or you notice when someone reaches out to you and someone talks to you and this person is really still not getting better after they talk to you, then advise that person. I think you should talk to someone. I think it's also mindfulness and calibration of the other. Or if you've talked to somebody, I'm feeling all of these things. I'm feeling anxious. The minute that I talk to my husband, for example, and I know I'm getting better with that conversation, then you know that it's somehow helping you out. But if, for example, I'm talking to my husband and I still feel it, even I seek for a coach, even I go for counseling. It doesn't mean that, even if I know this, I take care of myself by myself. I seek help too.
Yeah, ako naman, we need to understand also that the feelings that we have, it has an intention. Like feeling anxious, it's not necessarily bad because it's telling us something, diba? To be careful. But again, when should you ask for help? For me, if it stops you from your daily life. If you're just anxious, it's okay. A lot of people feel anxious and it's normal. Okay.
Mm-mm.
But that anxiety stops you from attending your meetings. That anxiety affects your relationship with your wife. That anxiety affects your relationship with your kids. Maybe you need help already.
Mhm.
So that's when we do the intervention. And the person must realize, oh nga, it's stopping my relationships. It's stopping my goals. So
Mhm.
maybe I should ask for help. Yun. That's where we step in.
And how do you distinguish between being practical versus being negative na about things, no? When people when you talk to other people, there are some people na medyo negative, and then but people say, "Ay, hindi naman ako negative kasi I'm just being practical about it lang." How do you distinguish what's good and what's bad in the conversation?
There's also such a thing as toxic negativity, Anton, right? I'm sure you've heard of that, wherein someone is like, I'm just so positive. So there is also such a thing na when the person is just toxic about the negativity, meaning it's already a pattern. They display it in how they talk or how they communicate with you. So you see it. If it's notice also how you speak. If it's a balance of sometimes I really rant because it's normal, because I am really feeling upset. And it's valid. Those things are valid. If you notice yourself just being so toxic about negativity, as someone can be toxic with positivity, then those are the things that you have to be mindful of. It's really constant mindfulness in the way of how we live. You cannot run on autopilot alone. Although the brain really likes the autopilot because it has more important things to do to keep us alive. So it just reverts to patterns that we've been so used to. So sometimes that pattern is even your phone rings and you panic because you're being called by somebody just by that, by that mere phone call. But then the person doesn't really say anything nasty to you, but you're just panicking because of the pattern that your brain has accepted na this person is, irritating in my life. So being mindful of that so that we do not just go into an autopilot. We don't just spiral down all the time. Those are the things that we have to watch out for.
Slippery slope yan eh. Again, no, I am that person when you say na parang some people are just being practical about it. I am one of those people na parang I need to look at what's missing so that I can improve on it. It's a slippery slope though because sometimes you have been programming your brain already to think of what's going wrong na sometimes nagiging negativity na nga siya and you don't actually realize that people around you are starting to feel batang nega-nega nitong taong to, no? So again, it's really catching yourself, and it's a good thing if your husband or your wife can be that anchor for you or gauge for you na parang medyo let's veer away na ng konti dun sa pagiging negative kasi medyo nagiging toxic na nga siya. So yun, I suggest you have someone beside you, someone you admire and someone you trust that someone can tell you, okay, let's go back to the middle. Medyo nag-veer na tayo towards the negativity. Yan.
Question: Isn't the narrative also a function of the environment? And are there tips for controlling the environment that you're in?
The narrative is definitely controlled by your environment, especially your environment ever since you were young or ever since you were growing up. Just as an example, Anton, is we have two adopted children. And when we adopted our first child, we were so excited about our first child. So when I was telling this group of pediatricians, one of the heads of these pediatrics department of the hospital, of all these pediatricians in the country, went up to me and said, Karel, have you done a torch test? Have you done a newborn screen test? Because, your child might have AIDS. He might have, his mom, biological mom, might be a drug addict, blah, blah, blah. Enumerated so many things that are wrong. And I'm like, ma'am, could I just enjoy my son? Because touch move na po to. It's not like I could return him if he's damaged, right? So she laughed at me, and she laughed and said, I'm so sorry. It's just that I'm just so used to seeing what is wrong with patients, especially with children, especially with newborn, being a doctor. And I'm like, I do get it. I do get it. So it is an effect of your environment, how you are trained, what you're trained to focus on. Any accountant will be trained to focus at any ledger. But me, I'm not, because I'm not an accountant, but I would focus on communication. I focus on what the person is saying to me. So yes, that has been honed by your environment or your inputs. Now, there are times that you can influence your environment by taking yourself out of the environment or putting a better input in you. So if there are negative things that you don't want to listen to, you unfollow certain people on Facebook, or you do not listen to certain people anymore. So that's how you can manipulate your environment. But there are things you cannot control. So when that happens, you have to be able to acknowledge that this is a given. If this is something I could not change, like the pandemic, there are things I could control about the pandemic, like putting a mask or washing my hands, other thing, or putting a shield. But other things, I cannot control how this goes.
Yeah, and this is exactly the reason why we want to push for Brainstrong. Because sure, you're lucky if you can control the environment. But most of the time, there are times that talagang parang, I won't be able to control this, like this COVID situation, na parang I cannot control it. But I can control the way I receive my environment.
Mm-hmm.
So, kaya nga yung Brainstrong is, even if you are in that environment, how you perceive things, how you accept things, it's really up to you. It's really up to your brain, how strong your brain is, and see, I will be able to control this, or I will be able to handle this or receive this better.
So Brainstrong is what is it exactly? Is it a course? Is it a coaching program? What is it?
It's an initiative or a campaign, a movement, if RR saying it as a movement, wherein we have a bunch of interventions. So the interventions could be, hey, we have a Facebook Live, or hey, we have a free session. Hey, community, let's say one barangay or a couple of barangays would get us to do a talk for their constituents, or a government agency will ask us to do a talk for a certain community. So we've been doing that, helping out these communities. The next intervention would be coaching. So if we have coaching initiatives wherein people, we have done for frontliners, we've already announced, any frontliner, just please come to us. If you need help, if you're really overwhelmed, we have coaches available. So we have that. I know that the government also has those coaches and helplines and stuff, although we're just here. So we're waving our hands and saying to people we could help. Another forefront that we're trying to tap is really the family, because like, for example, kami ni RR, we're a husband and wife team. So I really make sure that, I intersperse a lot of things to be mindful of my husband so that we could have fun, so that we could pay attention to the right things, we could be more mindful. He also pays attention to me to take care of me, because I need to take care of me. I also need to take care of my husband, and we also have to take care of our kids. So at that family front, we're trying to come up with like coaching programs even for couples. We're aside from the initiatives that are being done by Train Station already for corporate, I mean, that one is corporate. The companies take care of their people. So what about those at home? What about those people that could not afford intervention? So we try as much as possible to cover ground, especially in this pandemic. Anton, you're on mute, I think.
Sorry. So, John, two related questions. Are we still at the starting effects of the pandemic, or are we in the middle of it? That's one. And second, will the Christmas season like make our lives better or make our lives more stressful because of gift giving, etc., etc. And we
Mhm.
don't have money now, credit card companies calling, etc. So,
Yeah.
any advice on how we should think about the October, November, December, and how to prepare for it to be brain strong?
Oh my goodness, that's a beautiful question, Anton. And we're right now. I believe this is a personal observation that our brains have adjusted because there is this thing called hedonic adaptation that our brains do. Whether you're in a bad situation or in a great situation, your brain adapts to it. Like if you're in a great, beautiful house, you just bought it. After a while, you get so used to it. If you live in Boracay, you get used to the sunset. So our brains adapt to whether it's good or whether it's bad. Right now, when the lockdown happened, we were all in a state of shock and we didn't know how to adjust. So it was more volatile in the first few months. It was even for us, even for so many people. They didn't know how to put in the rituals yet. They didn't know how to put in the routines. So when the routine started coming in and people are working right now, all of the corporations, the people that we talk to, they're at that stage of nasasanay na. They're a little bit used to it. But there's also this thing called surge capacity, wherein if the situation is like a calamity or a catastrophe, there is only a limited time wherein that surge capacity is needed. I'll respond to this, and all my energy is there because there's that time thing na there's this calamity going on, like a fire, and then you start addressing this fire and surviving after that. But this one kasi is too prolonged. So aside from the fact that we're also adapting, it's too prolonged that we're getting exhausted still. So it's that cycle. It's cyclical. The way that we're dealing with it, na denial, anger, grief, bargaining, acceptance, and then we go through it again because it's not getting us out of it. So my advice for people, especially for the Burr months, there's another surge that's gonna come out. It's the surge in October for public school teachers. Because a lot of the private school teachers have been experiencing exhaustion when they opened schools, and the mental anxiety that a lot of them are experiencing was unheard of. They didn't experience that it's gonna be that tiring. There are things going on viral about teachers doing, extra movements online, doing letter T, letter P. I saw that video of this teacher na, this should be emulated, but that man is so tiring. So a lot of private school teachers are experiencing that. When October hits, public school will be greatly affected. So for November and December, it's really a purposeful attention for meaning. It's not anymore the gift giving for me. It's not anymore just the material things, but creating more meaning when you can, where you can. When fairness is under attack, that part of the brain we're in their study, when something unfair is happening and we are like fighting against political unfairness or something that is unjust, then even if we're not the one affected, we fight for somebody. It's because of that fairness in the brain. So a way to neutralize it is kindness and charity.
The way I see it naman, Anton, from experience, like I have been coaching people, no, when this whole thing started, the coaches or the clients that I had, parang it's really more on anxiety, on how to deal with it. Parang now that the clients that I have in coaching, meron pa rin naman, and it's the same demand. Mataas pa rin ang demand, although iba na yung issues nila. This time, the anxiety isn't really coming from how to deal with the COVID situation, but this time, it's really more of like how to handle finances, how to handle relationships at home, because it's been how many months that they've been together, like the relationships with the husbands and wives, no, na parang they're not trained to be together 24/7. I have this time for myself in the office, but now I don't have that anymore. So parang the demand of coaching is still high because marami pa ring needs yung mga tao. Nagbago lang yung mga issues nila.
Mm-hmm.
The way I see it, like for the coming Christmas season, I think it's going to be more meaningful because it's not going to be about the material things, because again, the capacity of people, medyo yun naman pumapasok na yung mga financial concerns. It's really more of the connection. It's really more of the parang the family. The ones really close to you, you will get to spend more time with the people that really matter.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
Which is something good na rin, di ba? It's also good.
Actually, I don't know if you've experienced a birthday celebration already, Anton, during this lockdown.
Yes,
Yeah, but
yes.
our
And
birthdays right now are more meaningful.
yes, oo. Siyempre, sa house lang, no?
Yeah.
Next question. Wait, so Michi said, many will need this. Yeah, oo. Especially now, no? Ang dami ng mga situations na ganito.
Mhm.
How about kids? Do you, I guess the question is, can kids handle the situation better, or are there special attention that needs to happen for kids?
Since we have younger kids, it's like retraining them. If you have younger kids, when mommy and daddy are at work, out of sight, out of mind sila. And then the minute that we come home, they know it's our time. So the training of seeing us here, they think it's their time. We had to really train them and put dividers. Like this room of ours is like our office. When mommy and daddy are here, no one disturbs us. So those are the things that we had to train them on. Depending on the age of the kids, but you really have to make sure that they have social time, because that's the thing that's disconnected. So what can you do with social time with the people that you have in your bubble? A lot of people are coming up with their own bubbles now, diba? Na social bubbles. So are these people in the social bubbles okay? Can they be trusted, so that at least our kids could have that sort of social interaction? And if your kids are a lot older, it's really interesting, imagine how this is training our children. Imagine what this is doing to them. Imagine what if we could utilize this to teach them how to be bored, because a lot of the kids don't know how to be bored, right?
Oh, yes. So, paano nga yun?
Actually, Anton, yung question mo, I would I would say that it will depend on how the parents are dealing with the situation as well. Because if the parents are stressed, no, the kids feel it also. And usually, pag stressed yung mga parents or anxious yung mga parents, sila yung napagbubuntungan ng galit or ng yung, when everything's all there, na punong-puno na sila yung napagbubuntungan. So, again, the effect on them is also great. So, parang, I would say, it really depends on the parents also.
Yung sinabi ko kaninang connect, have fun, pay attention, mindfulness, do something physical, sleep. Do that for the kids too. It's very important that they get to connect. You get to connect with them, have fun with them. Aside from them just having fun with TV and play and homeschooling, make sure that you also allocate your time with them.
That's good. And so no gifts, no gifts, just meaningful
Connection.
Kasi it's also financially stressful for a lot of people, di ba? So parang
true. Sana everybody, di ba?
Oo. Yes, exactly. So parang the greetings right now, I don't know if you've noticed, but the greetings on Facebook for birthdays have been longer. They used to be just happy birthdays, but now people, expound more. During my birthday, there was this kudo board that they came up with, and I was sobbing the whole time. For me, it was like the most meaningful gift. I didn't, care much about material stuff, but everyone saying those things on your kudo board. So it's more meaningful. I don't know how we could incorporate those letter writing, perhaps, because that was how our grandparents fell in love with each other, right? And it worked then. Maybe it's time to go back to basics and write each other something, not just on the wall. Maybe you could write something, spray it with alcohol, send it, so that people could have something tangible that they could receive for Christmas, or something.
Okay.
Yeah, something sweet, like cooking for them, or acts of service instead.
Okay. Can we have a photo lang?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Together. Wait. Okay. 1, 2. Sandali. I'm just waiting for the. Okay. 1, 2. One more. 1, 2. Alright. Tapos kayong dalawa lang. Kayong dalawa. Okay. 1, 2. All right. Thank you so much. I know we have a lot of things to discuss pa in detail, no? But I wanted to end it here. Maybe just some final thoughts because I want a lot of people to watch this video also. Maybe final thoughts on what do you think we should do on a practical basis on how we can have Brainstrong on our own, and then maybe end with if they needed more help, how can they get in touch with you directly?
Mm-hmm.
Ako, first of all, thank you, Anton, for doing this. Sabi nga kanina dung comment ni Mitchie, no, na parang a lot of people need this, and that's true. This is from experience. A lot of people have been reaching out, and that's why we also have a group of coaches who are here to help also. So thank you for doing this. At least kahit paano, for a very short time, we are able to give tips to people who are listening who cannot cope or who do not know that there are people out there like us who can help them. So ako, very simple. If you are dealing with something, the first thing I would ask you to do is breathe. A lot of people kasi when we experience something, yun yung nagbabago agad eh. And breathing actually defines our emotion. When we're excited, nagbabago breathing natin. When we're scared, nagbabago breathing natin. When we're emotional, nagbabago yan. So change the way you breathe.
And that's something you can control.
Yes. So change the way you breathe. Ako, take a step back, see the bigger picture. Kasi sometimes, again, we get overwhelmed because the picture is so big that we're not able to see, there are other options. So again, take a step back, look at the bigger picture, and then that's when you decide.
Mm-hmm.
Very simple 3 steps lang sa akin yun.
Ako same yung sasabihin ko dun sa breathing. Another thing siguro that I will tell people is to observe how you feel, because sometimes we're not mindful. We go through our day wounded and we don't know may sugat na pala tayo. I don't know if you noticed that. Like, I'm so stressed, I don't know that I'm stressed. Because you're not listening to your body. So I observe what's going on with my body. I observe when I'm hyperacidic, which is also important because you want to be healthy. You're more sensitive if you're having a sore throat now or if you're having sniffles now. So aside from that, be more mindful of what's going on in your body. Like, how's your stomach? How are your shoulders? How are your hands? How are your feet the whole day? And if you notice anything uncomfortable with them, taking like 5 minutes in the middle of the day to notice your body. How are you? It's like a health check. You do a health check on your body and, ask it, what does this need? What do I need? Do I need water? Do I need to take a nap? Do I need to rest? Do I need to breathe? Do I need to be grateful? Another thing, like RR saying, step back and see the big picture. Ako, it's a simple exercise. Get a coin, flip it. Right? So if you flip a coin, there are 2 sides to a coin. You can probably see what's wrong in your life and what's stressing you, especially if you're getting overwhelmed. What I challenge people to do is to always see the other side of the coin, the flip side of the coin, which is, what is this teaching you? What am I learning from this? Because in that alone, you're taking a very teeny tiny step to change the narrative that's in your head. Even if I'm at the point of screaming and getting so upset because things happen. We're not perfect.
Excuse me.
We're not perfect as human beings, right? So because I'm overwhelmed at this point, it's just a simple breathing and I'm like, what is this teaching me? Maybe this one is teaching me how to be more patient with my child. This is teaching me how to be more patient with myself. Maybe this whole pandemic is teaching me to be more compassionate with myself, taking care of myself. Because if I need to take care of so many things in a pandemic, maybe I need to take care and nurture myself first before anything else. So this has taught me that. This has taught me more compassion. This has taught me more mindfulness. So to me, I'm sure we will be better human beings, hopefully, better human beings after this pandemic. And that's a choice. If after this you come out more beaten and more brittle, or you come out of this more resilient and more agile, it's really how you practice your brain and your body and your routines and your activities day to day. So how will you come out of this? Stronger or not? So that's a choice. Go to our website, which is www.trainstation.com.ph. You could also join us on Facebook. So you could click on Carelle Herrera or RR Herrera. So just join us there. We actually have a lot of videos already uploaded. In this past month, I did a couple of things on women empowerment. And we've been doing so many things with Train Station Philippines itself. We've been doing a lot of activities when it comes to leadership, communication and stuff. So
For those who, again, this is a movement and we'd love to be guests. If you want to invite us, please get in touch with Patrick of eCircle Entertainment, 0917-886-0706.
All right.
Thank you, Anton. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Um, no, very interesting topic actually, and I think a lot of people would really benefit with more discussions. We'll check out your videos, and I think we really need more of a lot of positive reinforcement on this one.
That's
And
right.
NLP is one aspect na it's quite interesting, no? And then there's only a few practitioners, no, in Manila.
Yeah. There's a few of us here, and because I've also certified certain practitioners, I can certify kasi NLP practitioners anywhere in the world. So there are a couple, although when it comes to the combination of NLP and neurosciences, there's not a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's not a lot at talaga, so probably less than a handful of us. So the reason why we put in neurosciences is because NLP is a methodology. The science behind it, neuroscience. So that's why we have a lot of, we have a team of people that we go to as well, that we talk to regarding neurosciences. So that we can help more.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
thank you so much. And I do hope you guys watching the replay on the live stream learned something about Brainstrong. We'll be following and supporting you guys. And thank you so much.
Salamat.
All right. Thank you. And we're here talking to thank you for talking to May question ako.
Yes.
May question ako. Kasi there was this one book, no, that they said the effect of the pandemic psychologically to people would be one, everybody will get fat, no, because of the stress issue. Second, there'll be high rate of divorce because of the and third will be mental health. So what do you think? I know you are connected globally, but particularly in the Filipino culture, what do you think will happen ba talaga? Or
You
what
know,
do you think seeing happening?
tumaas na ang domestic violence. May studies na on the increase of domestic violence.
Talaga?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Not just in the Philippines, also globally. We've been talking to several people in Canada and the United States, and that is something that has really gone up. But in the Philippines, we've gotten our inputs from certain people in government as well, and they said nga na it has gone up because high stress. High stress. Both parents. Yung isa nawala ng trabaho, especially with the poor. Yung isa nawala ng trabaho. Both nawala ng trabaho. Pagka ganun na, nandun pa sila sa bahay, wala pa
Oo.
silang, hindi sila pwedeng maaliw, hindi sila pwedeng kung ano-ano, so saan napupunta? So the domestic violence really went up. When it comes to the getting fat, yeah, of course, because food
Dami ng food delivery.
is a reward. Our brain sees that as a reward.
NLP pa ang losing weight na NLP pa ang
Pwede. Pwede
Pwede.
yan. Pwede yan.
That has actually been, yun yung start namin yung parang weight loss coaching because of your belief systems. Kasi kung ano yung so ito yung mga mababaw na levels. Yung parang, I wanna quit this. I wanna lose weight. Ganyan. I wanna have a better relationship. So a lot of the behavioral patterns we have are affected by your belief patterns. So if we address lang the behavioral pattern, madalas the person reverts to another addiction. So, if it's not this, it's this or that, diba? So, yung nawala sa gambling, napunta sa sex. Yung nawala sa sex, napunta sa, alcohol. So, it's because you're just tapping the behavioral patterns. But if you go to the belief patterns, you help that person find their worth. You help that person realize, what is the intention of these things? Because I want to feel more alive. I want to feel accepted. When you tap that and make them feel more accepted, more alive at that belief level, you trump all the other cards below. So all of a sudden, they stop completely all of their other addictions because of the belief system. So with the weight loss, we deal with a lot of that because what does it provide? It's because it's a lot of pleasure.
Mhm.
Pleasure. So
I deserve this.
I deserve this.
That belief system.
Yeah. So
Of course, I mean,
so that's why dieting is so hard, because dieting is punishment and then food is reward. So now if that is the belief of the brain, every time I stop my diet, I bounce back to my eating habits. Bongga bongga, di ba?
ang
So
galing.
yeah.
I know you guys have to go, pero may last question pa rin ako.
Game.
Kasi there's a lot of parents are worried about kids, their screen time or playing games or, of course, nag-online classes na sila ngayon, pero humaba yung ano nila, no? So my question is particularly, kasi one of the argument is nag-games naman sila with other friends, no? I mean, they're having connection online with some of their friends. Ano ba talaga ang impact ng, online sa mga kids, no? Syempre, yung brains nila, bata pa, di ba? Any advice on what's the optimal way to handle this?
Ako, magba-backtrack ako a bit, Anton, and just remind you of how we used to be with the TV, and we used to stand up and switch channels, and how our brains got retrained by the remote control. So because of that, we became lazier, right? We didn't want the effort. So imagine the training that all of the screen time is doing to our kids. Now, a casual, normal conversation with mom and dad won't work anymore. Why? Because you're not high tech. You don't have all the
effects. And graphics. When you say something, well, graphics dyan. You don't have the camera tricks like naka fast forward yan or naka slow mo, wala kang ganun. Again, yun nga sinasabi natin na parang because ang dami nilang screen time, when they look at the real world, parang bagal, right? And that's why you have the surge of ADHDs. You have people being anxious. You have people who are not, diba? Nababagalan na sila sa real life.
And honestly, talking to our kids, it's not anymore. You can't just say, hey, do you want to eat? It's not that, hey, you want to eat?
Kailangan animated ka na rin. Kailangan same level nyo. Parang nasa TV.
Gagawin ko nga yan.
Commercial levels yan. Come on!
Let's get up and be excited. Lord, pagod na rin naman ako sa buhay, di ba? So it's you really have to identify your downtime. You have to have your downtime. You have to have your rules of no gadgets during dinner. You have to have your rule and make it fun. Like let's play a game. You have to do that because if you're telling people no gadgets and then you're not doing anything
you're not
anyway,
providing them another option what they can do.
Yeah.
Na parang nakatanga lang sila dun. Of course they will hate it.
Yeah, they'll see it as punishment. Downtime is, connecting time with family is so boring. I can't wait to go back to my computer. So I really make it a point that tickle time, hug time, hide and seek time,
dancing
time is so much more fun for my kids rather than being on a computer. So we managed to make it more fun for them.
So far we've been very successful.
There's 7 and 2. So far.
All right. Thank you so much. That was an awesome tip. Gagawin ko nga yan. So, we have boys kasi. Kaya, Four boys.
Wow! 4 boys!
So, iba-ibang strategy. May teenager na, merong younger pa. So, anyway, thank you so much. We'll support you. Just let me know what help you need in the Brainstrong initiative, and we'll help you guys.
Thank you,
Anton.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you also. Bye-bye.